ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ। ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਟਾਈਮਰ ਐਡਜਸਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਆ ਤੇ ਟਾਈਮਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਆਪਣਾ ਐਡਜਸਟ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੁੱਕ ਪੜ੍ਹਨੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਵਾਸਤੇ। No one likes to be pushed around, but people often put up with it for too long. So I get them to see their resentment first as anger and then as an indication that something needs to be said, if not done, not least because honesty demands it. When I get them to see such action as part of the force that holds tyranny at bay, at the social level as much as the individual. Many bureaucracies have petty authoritarians within them, generating unnecessary rules and procedures simply to express and cement power. Such people produce powerful undercurrents of resentment around them, which, if expressed, would limit their expression of pathological power. Word is pathological. It is in this manner that the willingness of the individual to stand up for him or herself protects everyone from the corruption of society. It is in this manner that the willingness of the individual to stand up for him or herself protects everyone from the corruption of society. When naive people discover the capacity of anger within themselves, they are shocked, sometimes severely. A profound example of that can be found in the susceptibility of new soldiers. Word is susceptibility to post traumatic stress disorder, which often occurs because of something they watch themselves doing rather than because of something that has happened to them. They react like the monsters. They can truly be in extreme battlefield conditions, and the revelation of that capacity undoes their world. What is undoes? And no wonder, perhaps they assumed that all of history's terrible perpetrators, what is perpetrators, were people totally unlike themselves. Perhaps they were never able to see within themselves the capacity for oppression and bullying, and perhaps not their capacity for assertion and success as well. Word is assertion. I have had clients who were terrified into literally years of daily hysterical. Word is hysterical. The next word is convulsions. What is convulsions? By the sheer look of malevolence on their attacker's face. Such individuals typically come from hyper sheltered families where nothing terribly is allowed to exist. Nothing terrible is allowed to exist, and everything is fairyland, wonderful, or else. When the awakening occurs, when once naive people recognize in themselves the seed of evil and monst- monstor- monstrosity, I think the word is related with monster, and see themselves as dangerous, at least potentially, their fear decreases. They develop more self respect, then perhaps they begin to resist oppression. They see that they have the ability to withstand. What is withstand? Because they are terrible too. They see they can and must stand up because they begin to understand how genuinely monstrous they will become otherwise, feeding on their resentment, transforming it into the most destructive of wishes. To say it again, there is very little difference between the capacity for mayhem and destruction, integrated and Strength of character. This is one of the most difficult lessons of life. This is one of the most difficult lessons of life. We will repeat it. To say it again, there is very little difference between the capacity of mayhem and destruction, integrated and strength of character. Okay, maybe you are a loser and maybe you are not, but if you are, you don't have to continue in that mode. Maybe you have, maybe you just have a bad habit. Maybe you are even just a collection of bad habits. Nonetheless, even if you came by your poor posture honestly, even if you were unpopular or bullied at home or in grade school, it's not necessary. It's not necessarily appropriate now. Circumstances change. If you slump around, what is slump? With the same bearing that characterizes a defeated lobster, people will assign you a lower status, and the old counter that you share with crustaceans, sitting at the very base of your brain, you will assign you a low dominance number. Then your brain will not produce as much serotonin. This will make you less happy and more anxious and sad. This will make you less happy and more anxious and sad and more likely to back down when you should stand up for yourself. It will also decrease the probability that get you will get to live in a good neighborhood, have access to the highest quality resources, and obtain a healthy desirable mate. It will render you more likely to abuse cocaine and alcohol as you live for the present in a world full of uncertain futures. It will increase your susceptibility to heart disease, cancer, and dementia. All in all, it's just not good. Circumstances change and so you can. Circumstances change and so you can. Positive feedback loops, adding effect to effect, and can spiral counterproductively in a negative direction but can also work to get you ahead. That's the other far more optimistic lesson of Prince's law and the Pareto distribution. Those who start to have will probably get more. Those who start to have will probably get more. Some of these unwardly moving loops can occur in your own private, subjective space. Alterations in body language offer an important example. If you are asked by a researcher to move your facial muscles one at a time into a position that would look sad to an observer, you will report feeling sadder. If you are asked to move the muscles one by one into a position that looks happy, you will report feeling happier. Emotion is partly bodily expression and can be amplified or dampened by the expressions. Some of the positive feedback loops initiated by body language can occur beyond the private confines of subjective experience. In the social space you share with other people, if your posture is poor, for example, if you slump, shoulders forward and rounded, chest tucked in, head down, looking small, defeated and ineffectual, protected in theory against attack from behind, then you will feel small, defeated and ineffectual, ineffectual. The reactions of others will amplify that. People like lobsters, people like lobsters size each other up, partly in consequence of stance. If you present yourself as defeated, then people will react to you as if you are losing. If you start to straighten up, then people will look at and treat you differently. You might object, the bottom is real. Being at the bottom is equally real. A mere transformation of posture is insufficient to change anything that fixed. If you are in number 10 position, then standing up straight and appearing dominant might only attract the attention of those who want, once again, to put you down. And fair enough, but standing up straight with your shoulders back is not something that is only physical. But you are not only a body, you are a spirit, so to speak, a psyche as well. Standing up physically also implies and invokes and demands standing up metaphysically. What is metaphysically? Standing up means voluntarily accepting the burden of being. Your nervous system responds in an entirely different manner when you face the demands of life voluntarily. You respond to a challenge instead of bracing for a catastrophe. You see the gold the dragon holds. You see the gold the dragon holds. What is holds? Instead of shrinking in terror from the all too real fact of the dragon, you step forward to take your place in the dominance hierarchy and occupy your territory, manifesting your willingness to defeat, expand, and transform it. That can all occur practically or symbolically, as a physical or as a conceptual restructuring. To stand up straight with your shoulders back is to accept the terrible responsibility of life with eyes wide open. It means deciding to voluntarily transform the chaos of potential into the realities of habitable order. It means adopting the burden of self conscious vulnerability and accepting the end of the unconscious paradise of childhood, where finitude, what is finitude, and mortality are only dimly comprehended. It means willingly undertaking the sacrifices necessary to generate a productive and meaningful reality. It means acting to please God in the ancient language. To stand up straight with your shoulders back means building the ark. What is ark? ARK. That protects the world from flood, guiding your people through the desert after they have escaped tyranny, making your way away from comfortable home and country, and speaking the prophetic word. What is prophetic? Word to those who ignore the widows and children. It means shouldering the cross that marks the X and the place where you and being intersect so terribly. It means casting dead, rigid, and too tyrannical order back into the chaos in which it was generated. It means withstanding the ensuing uncertainty and establishing, in consequence, a better, more meaningful, and more productive order. So attend carefully to your posture. Quit drooping and hunching. What is hunching? HUNCHING. Hunching around. Speak your mind. Put your desires forward as if you had a right to them, at least the same right as others. Walk tall and gaze forthrightly ahead. Dare to be dangerous. Encourage the serotonin to flow plentifully through the neural pathways desperate for its calming influence. People, including yourself, will start to assume that you are competent and able, or at least they will not immediately conclude the reverse. Emboldened, word is emboldened by the positive responses you are now receiving, you will begin to be less anxious. ਸੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਪਣੇ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ पर मैं चाਹੁੰਦਾ मैं ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਹ ਵਾਲਾ ਦੇਖੋ पेज ਆ ਇਹ पेज अपना कंप्लीट कर लवां क्योंकि थोड़ा रह गया मेरा एक चैप्टर कंप्लीट हो जाना। You will then find it easier to pay attention to the subtle social clues that people exchange when they are communicating. Your conversations will flow better with fewer awkward pauses. This will make you more likely to meet people, interact with them, and impress them. Doing so will not only genuinely increase the probability that good things will happen to you, it will also make those good things feel better when they do happen. Thus, strengthened and emboldened, you may choose to embrace being and work for its furtherance. What is furtherance and improvement? Thus strengthened, you may be able to stand even during the illness of a loved one, even during the death of a parent, and allow others to find strength alongside you when they would otherwise be overwhelmed by despair. What is despair? Thus emboldened, you will embark on the voyage of your life. Let your light shine, so to speak, on the heavenly hill and pursue your rightful destiny. Then the meaning of your life may be sufficient to speak the corrupting influence of mortal despair at bay. Then you may be able to accept the terrible burden of the world and find joy. Look at your inspiration to the victorious lobster with its 350 million years of practical wisdom. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. ਸੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੈਸਨ ਸੀਗਾ ਜੀ। ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਲੈਸਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੀ ਸੀਗਾ ਸਟੈਂਡ ਅਪ ਸਟ੍ਰੇਟ ਵਿਦ ਯੋਰ ਸ਼ੋਲਡਰਸ ਬੈਕ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਆ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੋਸਚਰ ਸਹੀ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਨਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲੌਬਸਟਰ ਦੀ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੱਸੀ ਸੀ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੋਸਚਰ ਸਹੀ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਫੀਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੋਗੇ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਦੇਖੋ ਫੀਲ ਵਧੀਆ ਕਰਨਾ, ਪੋਸਚਰ ਸਹੀ ਰੱਖਣਾ, ਖੁਸ਼ ਰਹਿਣਾ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਆ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਹੋਗੇ ਸੈਡ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪੋਸਚਰ ਵੀ ਖਰਾਬ ਰਹੂਗਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਖਰਾਬ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫੀਲਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਰਹਿਣਗੀਆਂ। ਉਹ ਉਸ ਲੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਇਹ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਲੂਪ ਆ, ਇਹ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੱਕ, ਇਹ ਲੂਪ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਲੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵਿਟੀ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਰਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕਰੋ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਸ ਬੁੱਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੋਸਚਰ ਸਹੀ ਕਰੋ, ਆਪਣਾ ਨੂੰ ਵਧੀਆ ਫੀਲ ਰੱਖੋ, ਆਪਣਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਟੋ ਨਾ। ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਆਪਣਾ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੀਲ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਚਾਹੇ ਸਰਕਮਸਟਾਂਸਿਸ ਮਾੜੇ ਆ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ। ਮੇਨ ਪਰਪਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਆ। ਬਾਕੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੌਬਸਟਰ ਦੀ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਰਫੈਕਟਲੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਟਾਪ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ ਜੀ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ।